Spartan Metals is a company looking for tungsten, silver, and rubidium. I've got CEO Marsh here with me so that he can walk us through some of the latest at their key project, the Eagle project. So, Brett, our followers will know that we've interviewed you in the past. Recently, actually, we talked about your legacy tailings.
Sure.
I didn't get a chance then to ask you about metallurgy. So what metrics are you looking for to know if the tungsten here from these tailings are economical?
Yeah, we're really looking for recovery, right? And that's the thing. So we know we've got a known quantity, but we still don't know how much we can extract. And so this work that we're actually going through right now is really designed to answer that question. And we're looking at several different methods to try to optimize the recovery not only of the tungsten, but also of the silver and the rubidium as well that's in those tailings.
You recently doubled your land position here is another thing I want to cover. It's over 1,000 acres now. Tell us why you did this.
We're over 9,000 acres in total, to be honest. And really it was a move for us after being out in the field and doing our initial field work that we started in September and October of last year. We noticed very considerable attractive alteration patterns outside of our current claims. And so for that reason, we think there's a much larger system at play than we had originally staked. So we wanted to make sure we had enough of a land position that we could work a full district scale type of deposit.
Beyond your tailings, I understand that there's exploration potential at Tungstonia, particularly a silver-rich CRD deposit. For the benefit of my viewers, talk to us about why it's important to point the CRD deposit out.
Yeah, so Tungstonia, first and foremost, is a tungsten project. You're right, so we're going to be looking to expand the tungsten footprint that we actually have there within the tungsten vein system that we know. Luckily, we have a considerable silver contribution in those same veins. And so what we see is where these veins intersect our expected or anticipated CRD system, we're expecting very high grades of silver, but also because of the fluid flows of that tungsten, we have a high potential for significant tungsten to be contributed there as well. So it really makes us very excited for both of those metals in that carbonate replacement zone.
I also think I need to ask you why pointing out the silver-rich CRD is important here for investors to take note, especially if they're kind of green to the mining sector.
Well, yeah, silver is a very interesting commodity in itself, as it has a lot of value today. And we actually have a considerable amount of it at Tungstonia, so that really helps with future economics, with helping us have another metal contributing to the potential economics of the project. With tungsten, of course, being the foundation, which is also at an all-time high as far as pricing goes in the world economic scale. So both tungsten and silver are in high concentrations and at very high prices right now. So it's very attractive for us at Eagle.
Of course, you can't predict to a T, but talk to us about the tungsten market, why you expect this tailwind to continue, if that is your opinion.
Yeah, the really big thing is that tungsten is dominated by China as far as production goes. It's almost 80 to 85% of the world's production, and so knowing that it's both a high-tech mineral and a strategic defense mineral, it's something that the United States and its allies really need to onshore. And it's having such a large concentration in the United States in a tier 1 jurisdiction like Nevada really makes us it's an attractive project.
It's absolutely at the forefront of U.S. defense,
yeah.
Right? The onshoring narrative. You have mentioned in the past, looking for non-dilutive financing to support your growth. What's your past experience on getting prior funding, and what has the reception been like from the U.S. government?
Yeah, I'll answer the last part first. So the reception's really been great. So I've had a number of conversations already with the Department of Energy in particular around the tungsten and the rubidium, and so it's really kind of opening the doors. I think it's just a situation for us where we've got to put a little bit more science into the ground and get a first drill hole out, and then they'll get very excited. But in this case, in the past, I've worked directly with the Department of Defense at the time and spent a couple of conversations directly in the Pentagon. So we do have the open channels to kind of get in when the timing is right, whether we get advanced information back from the tailings recoveries that we'll get for tungsten, and so also from the waste rock stockpiles, but then also for the larger project as we explore. So it's definitely been a very, very warm reception, I would say.
What kind of catalysts are you expecting to be able to update the market with? First half this year? and if possible, to also look at the last half of 2026.
12 months for sure. So in the short term, really, we've still got the focus on the tails and the results that we'll get back from there, hopefully within the next couple of months. But then we've been working very diligently in the background to compile all of the data that we collected over the fall of last year to have really some really high priority drill targets for us to look at, both in that CRD zone, but also focusing on defining out the full vein system within Tungstonia. So, we'll have that program probably go live at the beginning of the spring, that time frame. So his results would be coming back within the fall from that program. So it's something that we're all very excited about.
Well, a pleasure to see you in person,
yeah,
right? Not just virtually. Thank you very much, Brett.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks, Rachel.